I am so excited to be able to do a live one-on-one coaching session with one of my clients tonight. My mission is to empower others to be radically transformed into the person that God created them to be. I truly believe that you must transform your mind and your body will follow. Mindset sessions are such a big part of what I do with my fitness business. And I'm excited for you guys to get a live view of what that looks like. Crystal is going to join us and we're going to get started and do what we do on a live coaching session or, on a mindset coaching session. Crystal, we did
Hi,
it.
Stephanie.
First, I want to thank you so much for being vulnerable and doing this. We're both nervous and scared. It's always a little bit scary to go public and live, but Crystal and I are both in agreement. If we can help one person who may be struggling in silence by Crystal's story and maybe our talk, then it's all worth it. So thank you so much. And we encourage on the A team, my fitness group, to run towards fear and do things scared. So Crystal is doing that tonight. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I am doing really well.
Okay, if it was just me and you here, first I would be like, okay, catch me up. What's been going on since we talked last? Um, First, I want to let everyone know Crystal started with me on July 4th. So what we're like 3 months in. This is a pivotal moment. And if you are doing my model and participating in all the things, 90 days, you can really see some transformation mentally and physically. Crystal, how do you feel about the last 90 days?
So I feel like initially when I started, I felt myself in some of the workouts and stuff. I don't want to use the words I can't anymore or couldn't, but I felt it was a lot harder for me. Um, I can tell you now that I feel stronger mentally, physically. Um, I I feel like I do right away in the morning. I For the last 2 weeks I've been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and jumping right in with my workout. Um, and then I also do a 4 mile walk in the morning before I start my day. And that just gives me the motivation to be able to start my day, get fresh air, get mental clarity before I sit down and do anything. This year, January 1st, was my year to do something different for myself. I needed to reconnect my mind, my body, and my spirit. I needed to reconnect with God. So this was the year that I decided I was going to, and I know if I added everything in at once, it would have probably been a catastrophe. But I added things as they came along. All right, I've got this one down. I'm ready for the next thing. I've got this one down. I'm ready for the next thing. And I'm able to multitask all the things that I'm doing to help my whole self, if that makes sense.
I remember just going back to like our first Zoom, and I know there's a lot of moms out there who have poured into their family and their children, and then maybe they're in a stage of life where their kids are not there anymore, and then you're like, now what? And I
Yeah.
almost tear up thinking about it because I know there's a lot of moms who don't know who they are or who they want to be, and they have to find themselves. It sounds cliche, but how do I do things for myself? And you had the desire when we first met, and I could see it in your heart how much you wanted to learn how to like put yourself first, and it was so uncomfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was First, I want to ask, what gave you the courage or the desire to reach out to me, and why? What was your warning sign that, okay, I need to start taking care of myself? Something's got to change. How did that happen for you?
I I was probably I was hiding behind a lot of pain, and I felt myself struggling and a lot of anxiety and not knowing who I was becoming. Um, Oftentimes, I would have one drink at night that turned into two, that turned into three, until I was so tired I can go to bed and just forget about things. But then I woke up not feeling good about myself, not liking the person I was looking at in the mirror, and then the feelings I had were all still there. Those
Mm.
never went away. So the feeling of either loneliness or the feeling of you're overweight or I didn't like the person that was looking at me in the mirror. I needed to do something different, for me, for my health, to be around for my grandkids, to be around for my kids. Because although we did raise them into being adults to matter in society, they're always going to need somebody who believes in them.
Yeah.
So for me, I needed a wake up call, and I
Yeah.
needed to get better for me.
God, what I'm hearing you say is you got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know I mean, I can empathize with you. It's so easy to fall into the trap of into the day, eat, drink, sleep, repeat.
Hmm.
Just checking
Hmm.
out and thinking tomorrow might be different. And then it's just another day and it gets
Yeah.
progressively worse. And then self-esteem goes in the toilet. You don't
Hmm.
feel good in your skin, which then carries into your work, your marriage, or relationships with
Hmm.
anyone. And sometimes just having the desire is not enough. Did you have like a I had this. I'm going to ask you, and if you don't want to share, you don't have to. Was there a moment or an evening or where you were like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I've got to make some changes. And you don't have to give the details, but was it days leading up to? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, there was a definite, definitive moment, um, in my wake up call that oftentimes for me, because I'm also diabetic, I often I felt like I would feel the effects of alcohol a lot quicker than a person who isn't. And honestly, I would have a drink or two or three, and they might have been spaced out, but I wouldn't feel the effects until it was too late.
Mm.
And the day that happened for the last time,
Mm.
um, I couldn't even tell you where my address was. I couldn't
Mm.
even tell you how to get myself home. So I felt like that was why. To me, I'm a very smart individual, and I thought, why did I let that happen? How did I let that happen? And how can I not be mature enough to know when to walk away, when to stop, and what is going on with me?
Mhm.
So I really had to dig deep and do soul searching. And that's why, with you too, it took me a good probably 6 to 8 weeks to write my affirmation paragraph, because I really wanted to figure out my why and really be accurate. Because if I couldn't narrow myself down to that negative piece, um, then I can't peel back the layers to get to the positive parts that I want to aspire to be. So it really took me a little bit a while, because I have heard it for so long in my head. from my upbringing or just myself or, words I believed for myself. And
The negative tapes that play
yeah,
in your head.
over and
Yeah.
over and pounded, which,
Mhm.
sometimes I just wanted to quiet the noise
Mm.
and silence it. But, listening to a lot of the podcasts and stuff, it's helping me redirect my thinking. And it's, even though a podcast might be interviewing somebody different, the message is still the same.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing it over and over and over in so many different ways. And um, I'm starting to tell myself other things, different things.
Okay. I have to share real quick for those, or I'm going to step outside like we're not alone. I think it's important that people know what this affirmation paragraph is. It radically changed my life over 2 years ago, and I needed a tool to change the narrative in my head from negative tapes to who I knew I was, I could be, I wanted to be. And it's the affirmation slash declaration paragraph. And actually in my book are instructions on how to write yours. And the heart, and we write this, if you're my client, I encourage, and for those that are willing, like you, Crystal, who went all in and who are all in, and you trust in me, it works. And we write it every single morning. And basically, we are creating new neural pathways and changing the tapes in our head. But the hard part is if you do it right, like Crystal did, you have to dig deep and you have to really call yourself out on the negative things. You have to recognize the negative things that you're saying to yourself so you can flip them, which means you have to dig deep, get out of denial, and it can cause some hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of that temporary discomfort, you get to meet the person that you were supposed to be. And I love that you took your time with it. Are you writing it every morning? How are you
Every
doing?
morning, every morning. We went to Nashville over the weekend. I brought it with me. Did it every morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to. And I love, so most of my people, and Crystal's my people, clients, and I was one of them. We talked about this earlier. I was not going to be that person that woke up at 4. I needed 8 to 10 hours of sleep. I had convinced myself I needed 8 to, and maybe when I was drinking, I did need that
Mm-hmm.
much. But
Mm-hmm.
I would stay because I was not looking forward to the next day. I would want to sleep in as long as I could. But I kept hearing successful people get up early. Successful people have a morning routine. Successful people do what most people do in a day before everyone else gets up. And I'm like, I want to do what successful people do. So I want to be an example. And then I want you guys to do it too. I didn't tell Crystal she needed to get up at 4,
Mm-hmm.
but by watching probably me and other people in the group, you're like, well, maybe I need to try this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you start getting, did you go from like, did you ease into it or did you just start getting up at 4? Tell me the process that you took
There was
to.
another podcast that Ed Milet had talked about getting up 15 minutes early, and then from there 15 more minutes, and there 15 more minutes until you are at the desired time that you need. So what's 15 minutes? It's nothing,
So
you
you
know.
took his
And
advice and you actually
I
implemented it?
did. I did. I was never a snooze person anyway. I never set my alarm to snooze. So once it goes off, if I turn it off and I close my eyes, I'm oversleeping.
Huh.
So I know I gotta like stretch, do my good morning stretch and get up, and
Mhm.
I sit there for a second, but I get up.
Yeah.
Once I'm down in the basement, and the first time I started doing it, which was 2 weeks ago, I scared my dog. He started barking. I startled him from out of a sound sleep because he thought somebody was in the house downstairs, when I was working out. But now I let him know I'm going downstairs. I go
Because
downstairs.
the whole
He's
house
not
is
barking and waking
confused.
everybody
Like
else.
when the woman of the house or what changes their routine, it can screw everybody up,
Yeah.
including the animals.
So
What
my
all
husband,
do,
I
go
think
ahead.
he just, he sees me getting up or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, where you going? Where you going?" Like, I'm going to work out. I'm telling you, I'm going to work
Okay,
out.
yeah, that was my next question. So what does your morning routine look like now?
Okay. So 4 a.m. I get up to work out. And then that'll be from 4 to 5. At 5 o'clock, I then walk the dog 1.5 miles. I drop him back off and I walk another 3 miles. And then I'm able to come home and clear out the dishwasher, make breakfast, and then I go to work. Right after I get done, before I sit down to do my workload of where I start my work, I write my affirmation paragraph.
That's what I was going to ask.
Or
When have you worked that into your day?
I work that. It's sitting on my desk, so I
Mhm.
open that up right before I start my work.
It's life changing, and I can tell you, this is life or death for me. I look at these tools as medicine because I had to learn how to live life on life's terms. And that means without using food or um, alcohol or something like that. So these to cope. So these tools, like the paragraph in the podcast, are super, they're saving my life. I want you to talk. I've got to plug my computer in. This is the real thing. So
Okay.
yeah. So I want you to share too how you're doing with the workouts. Your
Okay.
fear, and then okay, I'm gonna plug my computer in. Thank you for your patience.
You're welcome. So share how I'm doing with the workouts.
Yeah, like because you had a history of working out because your son is into fitness, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so coming from a background of having doing some, you weren't completely like not having ever worked out.
No.
What were your expectations and how are my workouts different? Were you scared? How did you overcome that?
In my past,
You?
yeah. So your workouts are working the whole body. In my past, I was used to working out like if today's back and shoulder day, we do back and shoulders. Tomorrow's going to be leg day. Different body parts on different days and setting that up. So with your workout, we do the whole body in the circuits, almost like a HIIT, right?
Yeah.
HIIT workout,
Yeah.
because you work your core in
Mhm.
all of it. Plus, since we did the challenge, the push-up challenge and the sit-up challenge, I've been putting those just in while I'm waiting. I'm putting sit-ups and push-ups in the midst of it just to help me get more calories burned. So
So you're taking initiative to make your workouts harder and challenge yourself. That's what I'm hearing you
yeah,
say. Because we do challenges in our group, and this is to build confidence and to prove to yourself that you can do more than what you realize, and you have extended this into your workouts. That's freaking amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Always on my second week with you, and I don't know if it's because Sarah had challenged me as well, because I told you I was committing to 3, and then I've been doing 4 since I started, 4 days. And Sarah said, "Well, what's one more day?" Sarah, split it. So I've been doing 5, and so I feel like doing 5 week 2 gets a little easier for me. So I add extra stuff in there. I mean, I can use some extra sit-ups.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
as
will
you should,
do,
because I want you to push yourself. I want you to have enough, motivation and discipline to push yourself, because it needs to be for you, not because I'm standing over you or I'm making you. I love
right.
that. I didn't realize you were doing that.
Yeah. So since the challenge, I've just been adding my push-ups. Now, some of the hits have the sit-ups, so I continue to do the sit-ups, but I'll do the set, and then I will add in while I'm waiting. I'll just do some sit-ups, or I'll do some push-ups.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Okay. I want to kind of go a little bit more serious. What obstacles have you faced since we talked last? We meet once a month and do these sessions. And I always like to say, like, how can I serve you? Is there anything that you want feedback on? And sometimes maybe just I can listen. I don't always have to give you feedback. Sometimes just by you sharing, you figure it out yourself. Is there anything that I can listen, serve you, help you with that's been on your heart that you're thinking you need to work on or that needs some improvement?
I I'd like to change up like some of my foods. I want to do more macro counting and get it narrowed down a little bit more. I think, my calories, I'm not sure if the calories I'm on, if those are serving me, if what I need to do is change it up.
Yeah.
That part I don't know.
Okay.
Especially when you add workouts in and you need to like up your calories, but I want to be in a caloric deficit. And I know when you do that for too long, you don't end up actually losing weight. So your body thinks it's starving itself. I don't know too much about that area. So I think I want to learn more about that, so I can dial in, because I also know that everybody's body is just a little bit different and how they react to the different calories. And some people need more fat, some people need more carbs, some people need more protein.
Not a one size fits all.
Right. And I don't know where mine is.
Okay.
Like my son would always say, find out what your BMR is. Well, depending on what website you look at, my BMR is very different. Number one. Number two, then he said, well, from there, then you can you can play around with calories and see what you do. Well, I don't know.
This is great, because there's so many women out there pre and postmenopausal, especially, who I think, in my experience, there's not a one size fits all, and it's going to be trial and error. And I can tell you, you might do one thing on one day, but another day could be different. Not every day, depending on, like you said, your activity level.
Yeah.
And knowing that window of, okay, this is still a caloric deficit. I'm not going to gain weight, but we want to lose body fat, not lean muscle. We want you to build muscle. So first, I encourage you, and if you're still doing that, to log everything that you're putting into your mouth on the MyNet Diary app.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, I use an app called MyNet Diary, and I like it better than any other app. And it is a great tool to see what you are putting in your mouth and how many calories it is, and how to log and track. And it counts macros for you. I want you to be very diligent about logging for like a week. Okay. So I have some data. I need some data. I need to see what you're doing. Then I can say, oh, well, you might be, your calories are good, but your fat's a little high.
Right. Okay.
So this app will show that. If you can't count it on the app, don't eat it.
Okay.
And if it goes in your mouth, calculate it. I mean, put it in there. And here's what I recommend when you get real, because you dialed in a lot. So now it's time to dial this in because you're stacking things that you're improving. So I love that we're talking about this. So we need some data. So that means you're going to log everything that you put into your mouth. And with this app, I don't know if you've used it yet, but you can scan barcodes. You can look
Mhm.
up restaurants. Now, if you're eating something, like your husband's cooking chicken tonight, weigh it.
Yeah.
Is it dark meat? Is it white meat? Skin? No skin? Log it before you eat it,
Mhm.
because then you can say, well, is this worth it?
Mhm.
Because you could be going over on your calories just enough to make you maintain and you're not losing.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Because I
Yep.
feel like I see your body transforming, but where are you as far as pounds lost? Where are we with that? I haven't asked you that.
I was down 8,
Mhm.
and which was great because that's,
Yep.
it was 1 pound per
One.
week I
Yep.
was down.
Yep.
Um, I did not track anything over the weekend, over Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and tried to select
Yep.
better, healthier habits, but everything was eating out. So I think with salt content and everything. So I think the scale, it's not my true weight. It's like all the water weight that
Yeah,
I
you can go
probably
up 5 to 7 pounds from doing that, easy.
right away. So I'm
Mhm.
waiting till this week to actually physically get on the scale to know
Okay,
what my true weight is
good.
after I'm
After
back
you're
on my health and my water intake
good,
and everything.
good.
Um, and working out my 5 days a week. So
Yes, and with your
and I did
calorie,
that last week. I actually got it. We left Friday. I got up Friday at 4 a.m. to go work out before we even got on the plane.
yeah,
So
awesome, awesome. Yeah,
I did
I
my
mean,
5.
it does take a little bit more commitment, but if you're wanting to go to the next level, you're gonna have to track it and for a good stretch, and if you go off, track it. So
Yeah.
you can, okay, well, I took in this, 2,000 calories. Well, that's why the scale went up. That way you can see, because knowledge is power. So when we're seeing the way different foods affect our body, awareness goes a long way. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm less likely to be impulsive if I know that that handful of nuts is going to be 700 calories.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to eat it because it takes me like 3 hours to burn 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I want you to do. I want you to really be
Okay.
intentional about tracking. Then let's see what the scale's doing. And then because if you're doing it on the app with me linked, I can see your stuff.
Okay.
I can look at what you're tracking.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to get some data. So that's a to do. What was the last podcast that you listened to?
You sent me the last one with well, the Oprah one I listened to, and then I just got done listening to Turn Stress into Peace and Purpose, which I listened to this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. How have you worked? So you know that how important podcasts are for me, and I share them with y'all. Did you listen to podcasts this much before you started with me?
No, I never listened to one.
Okay, I love it.
No,
Okay, you trusted me and you listened. Now it's kind of addicting, isn't it?
it is.
Like
I can't wait to listen to the next one.
I know. Okay, have you
Yeah.
worked it into your day where you press play at a certain time of day? Has it become a part of like your daily routine, like on your walk or?
So yes and no. Sometimes I listen at my lunchtime. I plug in and I just kind of do my own thing while I'm eating. Because sometimes as I'm walking, that's especially when it's still dark out, it's my time with God and
Yeah,
I
I remember
disconnect.
that.
I don't bring my phone
Important.
or my
Yeah.
earbuds and I don't know, the smells, I listen to the birds waking up and I just let my mind just go there, and
Very
it's
important.
also a time that I can connect with God, and it's probably my only time where I'm quiet because I'm not talking to myself or talking to anybody else. So um it's it's just my alone time is what I call it. It's kind of
That's
deep
a good point.
thinking.
If we can't get quiet, and let's finish off with talking about this. If we can't get quiet and alone with ourselves, can we hear what God's trying to tell us or what
No.
direction we should go? Because if we're filling our minds with our own self-talk and maybe like toxic things like the news or kind of mindless conversation, whatever, I've found that we pray for things and we ask for wisdom and guidance. But how do you hear it if you are distracted and can't listen?
Mm-hmm.
I love that you've worked that into your day. I do it as like a meditation in the morning, but what I would call what you're doing is a walking meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about, you had one kind of rough weekend. You're like, this is really hard. Can you share a little bit about that? And we'll kind of finish off on that.
I was feeling really, I don't know. I had to talk myself off the couch to go work out. And then as I started to work out, my husband had just left and he went to go be by his brother and all my kids, there's nobody here. And I felt lonely, alone. And it was, I always have something to do. I always have, someone to talk to, somewhere to go, something, always something. And it was for the first time I had nothing, and I felt just really pitiful, sorry for myself, but I chose this. And I don't know. I had a good cry, and then I just started working out and took out my frustrations and things on just working out. And
Instead of drinking wine.
instead of drinking wine, instead of going up to get something, I did my workout. I did 3 sets of everything, worked up a very good sweat, and went and got myself some shrimp tacos.
Love it. So what I'm hearing you say is what that made possible was you showed yourself that even in a moment, I don't want to even say weakness, but the pity party, because those happen, it's a valley, right? But it was a growth opportunity because you proved to yourself that you could process and feel the feelings and you didn't try to change them. That's
No,
huge.
I accepted that feeling and I did work through it. Um, but it was also kind of funny because I was in my sobbing moment, I was praying as well. And all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls, texts. My daughter called me. My husband called me.
Oh my God.
It's very strange.
So you weren't
Not
lonely,
strange.
but all your people were reaching out.
Yes, but at it at that moment's what I really needed. But at the same time, I then started working out, and I was like telling them, I gotta get back to my workout. I gotta get back to my workout, or I'm never gonna get it done. But I wasn't, and I think that that's what God was trying to tell me is you're not alone, never alone, you're never alone.
And
Everybody is just a phone call away.
well, had you not felt that way, you wouldn't have got that revelation and got to
No.
experience that. So that's where we embrace the obstacles as the way. Like I write in my paragraph, everything always works out for me. And when I'm feeling those kind of, because I think it's important to feel those kind of feelings, because if we don't feel the sad, then how do we feel the happy?
Mm-hmm.
And if for me being a recovering alcoholic, I didn't ever let myself feel feelings because I was trying to protect myself, but I also couldn't feel the happy feelings.
Mm-hmm.
like I was trying to not feel sad or whatever, self-pity, all the things that I had gone through, but I also couldn't feel the happy feelings and excitement.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you did that. Shortly after you shared that with me, I was listening, and maybe it was the Oprah one that I shared with you. The
Yeah.
guy,
Yep.
the guy said you have to like yourself when you're by yourself.
Yes.
I was like,
And I need more of those because I
yeah.
find when I am by myself, I keep busy. I'll clean, I do laundry, I do stuff. When there's nothing,
Mhm.
nothing, you're, what do you do?
Mm.
I get to know me, who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's somebody worth getting to know.
I think we should just end right. I just got chills because that is not who you were 3 months ago. I mean,
No.
talk about being empowered to be radically transformed into the person God created you to be. Like your transformation is radical transformation because 3 months ago, you were not this confident woman who was like, okay, I'm ready to like love myself and my workouts are non-negotiable. And even if my family, who I love doing things for them, calls, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to put my workout off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, freaking amazing. Okay. Is there anything like, because like a normal call, is there, so we're going to count, you're going to be diligent about logging your food. Okay. You got your new workouts. When are you going to start that?
Yeah, I'm going to go downstairs after I get off, and I have a dry erase board that I write my workouts on, and any notes after I watch the videos, any notes to remind myself how to do it.
Okay.
And then I put 3 little boxes next to the workout so I can cross them off as I do them. So I'm going to go down and update that tonight. So I'm ready to go tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Is there a goal that we can set for like the next time we talk? And we're going to talk one more time, but like in about a month, let's set a body goal and like a mindset or spiritual goal. What's on your heart? Well, first let's do weight. So 1 pound to 2 pounds a week is healthy weight loss. So would it be realistic? How do you feel about 4 pounds, losing 4 pounds in 30 days?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. That be our number one goal. Is there something on your heart that you're like, I probably need to work on this?
I don't think so, because, not to say there's nothing I ain't working on, because I'm working on, I do a Bible study once a week. So I am reading Soul Care. I am, I don't ever want to say I'm not listening to podcasts, because I'm listening to them all.
So how about continuing the wins, continuing going to the small group, just making sure that you're intentional, continuing to do those things. And how are you doing with saying no?
Well, I don't know.
I want you to think about it. I want not only just say no, I want you to say no and not explain yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's the key.
Okay? No is a complete sentence. So I want you to kind of be mindful, let's say 3 times a week, take an opportunity to say, because we get asked to do things and then we feel obligated and then we don't want to let somebody down and then we do it, then we resent, and that's the whole thing. If there's something that you don't have a peace about doing or it interferes with your non-negotiables and you have a pure heart and you're a kind person, I want you to say no, and you don't have to explain yourself or apologize.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I had to work on that at treatment, and I had to, where I couldn't help anybody. I had to ask for help. And then the no thing. So it's a little more challenging. Like, I just want you to catch yourself when you find
Yeah.
yourself like reluctantly telling someone that you'll do something that they ask. That's when you need to say no.
Yes.
Or if
Yes.
it's an opportunity to empower that person to do something for themselves. Give
Yes.
them the gift of empowerment.
Yes.
Okay, I see
I
your light
agree.
bulbs.
I will work on that. Yes.
All right, I'm excited.
Mm.
Thank you for everyone that joined us and listened in. Thank you, Crystal, for sharing and being vulnerable on this platform to help someone else. And remember to like, share, subscribe to my page, and check out my book, Wounded to Warrior, on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And if you want to learn more about my coaching, you can check out my website at coachtiffanyowen.com or private message me. Have a good
Thank
night.
you too, Tiffany. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for you, Crystal.
Have a
Like, share, and subscribe for the best in fitness and mindset coaching.